I'm Attorney Ben Krupp, along with Attorney Jeff Storms and our other co-counsels. We represent the family of Daunte Wright. Present with us today is Daunte's mother and father, Katie and Aubrey Wright. Also present, who you will hear from, is Daunte's aunt, Naisha Wright. Also present is his grandmother, Angie, and his brothers and sisters, and Uncle Bobby. Their family from all around Chicago, Houston, a big, beautiful family coming to have to deal with yet another tragic killing of an unarmed black man. And so we got many requests from the media, the family's response to Officer Potter being charged with second-degree manslaughter for the killing of Daunte Wright. Yesterday, I was in New York at National Action Network's convention, having a panel with Reverend Al Sharpton and the mothers of the movement, as they are often referred to. And while we were on the panel, Katie, and they was answering the question, what message would you have for Katie Wright now that she is joining a sorority that no mother wants to be a part of? And maybe it was fate, as they were answering those questions, that we got notified that County Attorney Harput had filed the charges against Officer Potter. And I told them, Michael Brown's mother, Leslie McSpadden, Michael Brown was killed in Ferguson, Missouri. Many say he had his hands up, and the phrase "hands up, don't shoot" went viral. Eric Gardner, mother, Gwen Carr. Eric got choked in Staten Island, New York. He said, "I can't breathe." Before George Floyd said, "I can't breathe." And Sequette Clark, the mother of Stephon Clark, who was killed by the police in his grandmother's backyard as he was running away. And we're fortunate to have Stephon's brother, Stephante Clark, who came from Sacramento, California, to stand with the family of Daunte Wright. But it is because of these women fighting for justice for their children, their dead black boys who were killed unjustly by the police in those instances. And neither one of them, not Eric Gardner, not Michael Brown, nor Stephon Clark, Attorney Storms, got their day in court. They got no due process. They didn't get to have the officers come before the court of law and have the witnesses and evidence presented to a jury to make a determination whether they would have any criminal liability. And the blood of Stephon Clark, the blood of Eric Gardner, and the blood of Michael Brown is on the hands of the American criminal justice system. because there was no accountability for the police who killed them. The only question that we have before us today is, will Daunte Wright name join that list of black people in America who have been unjustly killed by the police, who did not have the police held accountable? But we are heartened that because of those individuals and raising the consciousness level that our children's lives matter and that black people's lives matter, because of that, we believe that we're starting to see a change in America. Because, like I said, they didn't get a charge and an arrest, but Daunte Wright did get a charge and an arrest of the officer that shot and killed him. So we are making progress, and I want to encourage those protesters, those young people, those activists, that you're making a difference in Minneapolis, Minnesota, right here now. It's ground zero for that change. And I know, Katie, and I know, Aubrey, it is so difficult to see the glass as half full in this most regrettable time that you are preparing to go to the funeral home to see Daunte for the first time since his tragedy. It is so very difficult to see the glass as half full. But just know, here in Minneapolis, George Floyd's killer was arrested and charged, and we're now waiting for closing arguments in the trial of Derek Chauvin to make sure that George Floyd got due process of the law, got his day in court. And the fact that because there were charges, that you all will get your day in court. And that's very important, that marginalized minorities in America get their day in court, so we can live up to our promise of liberty and justice for all. Well, that means Daunte Wright. That means George Floyd. That means all the others, whether it be Stephon Clark, Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, Terrence Crutcher, Alton Sterling, Laquan McDonald, Philando Castile, Corey Jones, Raquel Boyd, Natasha McKinney, Sandra Bland, Pamela Turner, E.J. Bradford. So many of our children have been killed by the very people who are supposed to protect and serve them in very questionable, highly controversial situations. And so when we think about this moment, Naisha, everyone continues to ask the family, well, are you satisfied with the charges? What do you think of the charges? All we can do is say we're making progress. The journey to justice is a long one. If you consider apples to apples, Attorney Storms, you had Officer North here in Hennepin County. He shot a white woman, Justine Daunte. Apparently it was in a dark alley. He shot and killed her. He showed great remorse. Said it was an accident. Did not mean it. He was charged with third-degree murder and convicted of third-degree murder. And sentenced to 12 and a half years. Now present before us, we have Officer Potter, a white police officer, kills an unarmed black man, and she's charged with second-degree manslaughter. Whereas we understand that if convicted, she can get between 4 and 10 years. All this family is striving for is to get full accountability, to get equal justice, nothing more or nothing less. This family know that really, as Aubrey and Katie talked to Attorney Storm and I about what is the most time she could get, what are the highest charges after they met with the district attorney. They concluded that really there's no justice for them, because justice would mean Daunte not being killed. So the only thing they can ask for, Daunte, is full accountability. As Naisha so eloquently stated, accountability to the highest level. That's all they can ask for. That's all they can request. That's all they can demand. And so they will do that. Because Daunte Wright life mattered. You think about Officer Orr and his circumstances. And then you think about Officer Potter and the circumstances of her killing Daunte Wright. And the illustration is just so graphic. You didn't have all of this. You did not have all of this in Officer Noah's situation. It was daylight. You see a gun, a taser. A Glock 17 and a taser. So it's very difficult for this family to accept that this is an accident when you have a veteran who's been on the police force for 26 years. And we still believe that it was over-policing. There was an excessive use of force because we have a propensity in America to over-police marginalized minorities, especially black men. And again, we're trying to compare apples to apples. If you go to my Instagram page, and people have been doing it a lot, at Attorney Crump, we have 3 videos of young white men not only resisting the police, but they are assaulting and battering the police. They have weapons. They reach for a gun. And yet, the police still don't shoot those young white men. In fact, in some of the videos, the police actually retreat. They run from the white men. So why is it in every instance that the police engage in the most excessive force with black people? Think about what we just witnessed in Virginia with the Army veteran. and sisters who get pulled over by the police, they give them a ticket. And then they go on their way. But for some reason, marginalized minorities are made to submit. I don't know what it is in the mentality of police officers that they want black people to submit to their will. When you think about George Floyd, it was an alleged $20 bill, counterfeit. They could have given him a ticket for that. It was at most a misdemeanor. They don't even know, they didn't even ask them, well, it's alleged this is a counterfeit bill. Did you know it was a counterfeit? They didn't ask them that. You heard the cup food employee say, I don't even think he knew that it was a counterfeit. They could have asked George Floyd, do you have the money to pay for it? But no, he didn't get the benefit of consideration, the benefit of professionalism, the benefit of the courtesy, the benefit of the de-escalation that we see so often with white American citizens. He didn't even get the benefit of humanity. And if you ever want to know the difference, just go back and look at the white nationalists attacking the citadel of our democracy on January 6, 2021. So it's not about do they know how to de-escalate. The question is, why don't they de-escalate when it's Daunte Wright? Why don't they de-escalate when it's George Floyd? Why don't they de-escalate when it's so many black people who are unarmed? And so we're here to answer those questions. And finally, we ask that you keep the family in prayer. All his family. Keep little Daunte Jr. in prayer as they get ready to go through one of the darkest chapters of their life. Literally, after they leave this press conference, they're going to the funeral home to start to make the arrangements to give Daunte the respect in his homegrown services that he did not get from the police officer. You're going to hear from my co-counsel attorney Jeff Storms before we hear from Daunte Wright's parents. Attorney Jeff Storms is a great attorney here in Minnesota who I've been blessed to work with also and represent the family of George Floyd. He is one of the best lawyers I've ever had the honor of working with. Thank you so much.
I've had, I think what I might refer to as the unfortunate privilege to work with a family I love and the family of David Smith, who died here in Minneapolis. And Mr. Smith's family did not receive equality. They did not get their day in court for a criminal trial with respect to the officers. Now I've had the opportunity, and again, a privilege, but one I wish we didn't have, to stand next to great families in the Floyd family and the Wright family, and incredible attorneys like Mr. Crump and Mr. Romanucci. And now we've seen two families who are getting some justice. They're getting criminal charges. They're getting a day in court. But we shouldn't be patting ourselves on the back for baby steps towards equality. This isn't the result of enlightenment when you think about the history in our city. The Damon case confirmed what the black community, what our black brothers and sisters always knew. If a black officer killed a white person, they'd be charged. And so the hands of the city, the hands of the county were forced. They now must give at least some level of equality when the situation is reversed. So even though we can take some small comfort in that baby step towards equality, it doesn't bring Daunte back, it doesn't bring George back, and it's of little comfort to many families, like the family of David Smith, who did not get that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Very well said, Attorney Storms. This is very emotional for them. His parents, Daunte Wright's parents, Miss Katie Wright and Mr. Arthur Wright, will now address you briefly.
The last few days, everybody is asking what we want. What do we want to see happen? And everybody keeps saying justice. But unfortunately, there's never going to be justice for us. The justice would bring our son home to us, knocking on the door with his big smile, coming in the house, sitting down eating dinner with us, going out to lunch, playing with his 1-year-old, almost 2-year-old son, giving him a kiss before he walks out the door. So justice isn't even a word to me. I do want accountability, 100% accountability. Like my sister said, the highest accountability. But even then, when that happens, if that even happens, we're still going to bury our son. We're still never going to be able to see our baby boy that we're never going to have again. So when people say justice, I just shake my head.
Thank you, Katie. Mr. Wright is going to defer to his sister, Naisha, to speak on his behalf, and she has demonstrated with raw emotion the pain and the agony that this family deal with, that many families deal with. Stephante experienced it with his brother, and Trayvon's mother experienced it with the loss of Trayvon. These families, just as a case, as a cause, as a hashtag, to them this is their blood. And it hurts. It hurts really bad. So please give the charity of your undivided attention to a young woman who is speaking for her family and for her nephew, Miss Naisha Wright.
I want everybody to sit here and imagine you having to bury your child that somebody just murdered. We all know when our children are born, we're so proud. Fathers, they want their baby boys. Us moms, we get that love from our son. They don't get that anymore. Justice, what is justice? Do we get to see Daunte smile? We don't get to see that. Do we get to hear Daunte joke again? We don't get to hear that. The highest accountability, I know the highest is going to be being judged by God. But can we get a conviction? Can we get something? Manslaughter? Y'all see the difference? This is a taser. This is a taser. killed with this, a Glock. These two are hurting, our family is hurting, our blood has been spilled, and all we ask for is to please just keep getting his name out there, and please help us to go ahead and get something done, a conviction, something. And if this was Pops, I'm not even going to call her office, because at this pot or whatever, if it was her child, if someone killed her child, we wouldn't even be having all this press conference. No, none of this. Because whoever that would be under the jail again. Can we get that same thing? I don't care what's said, what my nephew may have done, whatever it is. Again, he was ours. He was a good boy. He was ours. We want the same conviction that anybody else of our race, or even outside of our race, what they want to call a minority, would get. Not a pat on the back. Unfortunately, my nephew didn't get a drive to go to Burger King to get something. He didn't even kill nobody. There's so much I want to say, but because we in the house of the Lord, and I pray all day and I pray every day, my brother and my sister need this woman to be convicted. If we can have life, we want life. We gotta go life without him. We gotta go life without him.
Thank you, Naisha. You can see how emotional this is. But Naisha asked me when we were talking earlier if Officer Potter had children. I didn't know the answer. But she then said, well, if a police officer did Officer Potter's child like they did her nephew, what would America demand? It's a fair question, America. What would you demand? Well, whatever you would demand for her child, then why shouldn't Katie and Aubrey be able to get the same? Isn't that what equal justice under the law means? And Aisha raised another profound example. You have these young white men. She was talking about Dylan Roof in a church similar to this. Shot 9 black people. The police followed him across state lines. And when they apprehended him, they didn't shoot him in the back there. They didn't kill him. They apprehended him alive, and they gave him so much consideration that they took him to Burger King to get a burger and fries. Because they, for whatever reason, treat white Americans differently than they treat black Americans. The Parkland High School killer, they followed him. They took him alive. The white man who just killed the people in the Asian spot in Atlanta, they took him alive. But yet, when you have a black person, Daunte, who ain't killed nobody, they shoot first and ask questions later. And then they come up with a way. I know this is extreme, but they come up with a way. They come up with a way to justify over and over again the killing of black people in America. over and over and over again, they come up with a way to justify it. We're done accepting the justifications, America. As I said, everybody keeps saying, well, no matter how tragic it is and how unnecessary it is that Daunte Wright was killed, they continue to say that looting is unacceptable. Well, you know what we say is unacceptable? Killing unarmed black people. We want President Biden to always add that to the narrative. We want all our leaders, the governor, everybody to say it's unacceptable to destroy property when you kill our children. Well, we want you to add to that it's unacceptable to kill unarmed black people. Enough is enough. We're just outraged that during the Derek Chauvin trial, regarding the killing of George Floyd, 10 miles from where this pivotal case of American jurisprudence is taking place, one of the most important consequential cases in the history of America, dealing with police excessive use of force. You would think that the police would try to do everything in their power to use the best standard of care. That they would be as professional as possible. That they would use every measure of their discretion to de-escalate situations. But you have this training other officers here in Minnesota. She's not training them apparently based on this to be de-escalated. There was no reason to use that taser. They had his identity. They knew the tag of the car. So what if this young kid got away? They knew how to get him. It was a misdemeanor. We are very suspicious of every aspect of this stop, especially considering COVID-19 pandemic, where people are having challenges trying to get their license tabs renewed. There's a lot of people in Minnesota driving around with expired tabs right now because COVID-19 had everything shut down. But as Naisha and I discussed, Daunte, they believe driving while black was the reason he was stopped. And we have to deal with that, America. And I know people say, oh, there they go talking about everything is racial. Well, unfortunately and regrettably, we don't see white people being shot and killed like this. So what are we left to conclude? Daunte, would you like to say anything? Thank you for being here. And this is Stefan Clark's brother, who came from Sacramento, California, to stand with the family.
I just want to say just a few words from my mother. She was sending them emotional support.
Thank you. He couldn't get the words out. He said that, you remember that his family went through this as well. We're trying to take a few of your questions. I don't want my words to be misconstrued. I don't know what's in her heart, but what I do know, she used excessive force because he didn't even need to be tased. When you look at those videos, Attorney Crump, go look at those videos of those white young men assaulting and battering the police. And they did not shoot them. They didn't use tasers on them. And so why is it that they do this to black people? And when they over police us, when they use the most force, it has deadly consequences for us and our children.
And I have a question for maybe for example, these are important. You've got to talk what
I don't even know what I would say to her.
Okay. This was the very worst time something like this could happen.
I tell them thank you for coming and standing up and supporting my family and other families.
And we ask everybody to obey the law. I'm going to have Attorney Stahl answer that question.
So, the charges can be amended at any time. It doesn't take the Attorney General to do that. Mr. Orput could do that as well. So, everything is in the early stages. But what should be clear to everybody is that they acted swiftly because it was so obvious that what happened was an unlawful killing. And as the evidence comes out, they'll refine what those charges ultimately are. Absolutely. They can, and I would assume will, get pressure from many different sources. We are in the initial stages of our investigation as well. Believe me, they get way more access to the information than we did. We only got a very little bit. So we will be prepared to talk about what we think should happen when we're fully educated. But we can tell you what did happen was an intentional, deliberate act of force that began with an intentional pretextual stop and ended with an intentional pulling of a trigger.
It's a long journey to justice, and I want to thank the young people and the activists and the people who are protesting the injustices that they see, because it is making a difference in America. We have to remember, not so long ago, they weren't charging any police officer for killing a black person. So we're making progress in America. Are we at the point where we can say it's equality? Oh, we're a long way from that. But we're making progress. I think Attorney Stahl said it best when he compared the analogy of Officer Noah and what everybody always believed in our community. If a black officer shoot a white person, oh, they're going to be charged. They're going to be charged to the fullest that they can be charged to. And so that presented us with empirical evidence based on what we saw in that case. The question has always remained in America. Can minorities get the same equal justice under the law when white police kill us? We'll take a few more things. Yeah.
It was very emotional. George Floyd's sister or girlfriend actually taught my son at Edison, and she remembered him playing basketball, and she remembered him just being that smiley, goofy kid, and she decide that we had to meet that way and that our families connected in that way.
Okay, one last question. His sister will talk about her brother. Daunte, this is a little sister, Destiny.
My brother, he was the most delightful person I've ever met. Like, he was everything. Everything. His smile, his jokes, his everything about him. And she took that from us. And I'm very disappointed. Very disappointed.
Have an uncle who wants to say something. The family has started a GoFundMe account, and people want to help. It's and I have added here. It's going to be on Thursday at 12 noon Central Standard Time at this church. Reverend Al Sharpton will deliver the eulogy. I'm sorry. Destiny.
My name is Destiny Wright. 14 years old.
Two things with me. Uh, First one, like it's kind of like a double like question. You know, y'all got a lot of questions. Like on another aspect, y'all really look at the video, and then y'all ask the family, well, what you think should happen. If you really look at the video, do you really think that other big guy behind my nephew needed help? When he had handcuffs hanging in his hand for at least 5 seconds. So I think that's what y'all should ask. Y'all ask like how she should get done. Do y'all really think that first guy needed help? It would have been prevented from all of that. He had handcuffs in. If he really wanted to like take whatever it was. First thing and that's the next other thing I say about my nephew, that he knew, tell you the truth, and he knew who to respect. I never seen Kevin. We talked about that. Anytime I come out here to visit, I never seen the bad man side. I always seen him happy. He happy to see me. We up early talking, late night talking. I didn't see what people gonna try to make it out to be. So he knew how to conduct himself. But go back to that first thing, y'all asking a question that's obvious. Y'all saying, what do you think she should have? Did you see the video? My nephew 135, big old guy. He had control of it. My nephew was cooperating. So with that, I mean, yeah.
And one more uncle wants to say something. My nephew, now this is Aubrey's older brother, Bobby and Dee. My nephew, my whole family for that matter, we are so close. We are all in different parts of the country, but no matter what the situation, we always get together. This is not the situation we like to get together. We usually have them get together, cookouts. I mean, they just was at my house for my birthday. And we just experienced a great time together. And for me to know that's the last time I saw my nephew, I feel like, you guys are taking away many other birthdays that we wanted to celebrate together. Not you, but this officer. So for that, charge it. Charge it to the max sentence. Hold her accountable for whatever it is that the state thinks she should be held accountable for, let it be the max.
can't have them back. We're watching she get back in her life.
This is his father, Harvey Wright.
I have to say something. We're here to talk about my son. My son was a good young man. He was a young man in the making. We were building my son up to be somebody. He was gonna be somebody. He was a good kid. I'm very hurt. I don't really talk much. It's taking a lot for me to talk right now in front of the crowds and stuff, but my son was very much loved. We loved him a lot. And the way he was killed, he did not deserve that. So I just wanted to say that. I felt like I had to just tell you guys what's going on is unfair. These young black men being killed. Can you blame my son or anyone else for being scared of the police? We teaching our kids how to act around police. I just had to say something. I thank you for listening.
It's fun. What you mean? Everything.
Thank you all.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's the Resistance. That was the live press conference of Attorney Ben Crump representing the family of Daunte Wright. Give me 1 second. I got a comment I'm going to finish up real quick. Just give me 1 second. One second. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize about that. Seems as though we've got a disruptor in the stream. His name is Tim Ogie. Tim Ogie. It's a fucked up name, but who am I to talk? My name is John McCullough. Tim Ogie had a lot of things to say in the stream. Obviously, he comes off as a racist. Mentioned some things about a lot of darkies are triggered. I just want to tell you, Tim Ogie, I love you. I love you for who you are. I love you for the piece of shit that you are. Thank you. Thank you for exposing your racist self. My man. I'm just sitting here rolling up right now, a little CBD joint, just to relax. How y'all feel about that press conference? A little boule mix. Sadness from the family. Well, that Ben Crump, I tell you, he's something else. How about this? Hey, Tim Ogie, why don't you hit the link? Come on up. Let's talk about it. some reason it wasn't working last night when I was live. Tried to get some guy up. I forgot his name. What was the guy name? One of your people, Tim Oki. One of your people. I forgot the dude's name. Anybody know the name? Put it in the chat. One of your people were on last night, and I challenged him to come on up and let's talk about the racist things that he had to say. You know, and he came up. To my surprise, I called him a coward. I said he's not a man, and he came up. And what happened was the stream, for some reason, wasn't right. And he was backstage, but I couldn't hear him. And everybody else said they could hear him, but I couldn't hear him. So how about Tim Ogie? Why don't you try it out? I'm gonna put it up there real quick. Let me see if it'll work this time. It should be popping up in a minute. There we go. I think. All right, hopefully it popped up. I'm having situations now. I couldn't even read you guys' chat from my StreamYard. So the whole time, the press conference was going on, I was trying to troubleshoot that. But unfortunately, couldn't figure out what was going on. Tim Oogie still in the building? Tim Oogie ran, huh? That's what I thought. Punk chunk motherfuckers. Twitter finger motherfuckers. Love to talk shit. But when it's time to come face to face, unlike the guy last night, he did come up. I have to say, he talked shit and he came up. I was unable to get him on. Well, he was on. I just couldn't hear him. But 99% of you fuckers are bitches. I say it to your face on StreamYard, and I'll say it to your face on the streets. I mean, if I don't give a fuck about a cop, what makes you think I give a fuck about you? Like I said, Tim Oogie and the other trolls, it's none of my business what you think about me. Just keep your account in the stream. That's all I give a fuck about. Cause see, I can handle you bitch motherfuckers. And I ain't scared of y'all. That's what makes it even better. Anywhere I go, I hold my head high. It's the resistance. That's what I say. Because not only do I resist against tyranny and corruption, I resist against all bullshit. Speaking of shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Sinatra Beard. Look, Weymouth, UK. Rumbling hard in the chat. My man, save the humans. Lake Speed. OG Perfect Sense. Chasing Cash. React by L. Dr. Whatnot. Levelwise to C. Anonymous Newfoundland. MCRYD. Phenomenon. Wake Up America. Dreamland Moore. BX Trust. Spooky Press on Free. Last but not least, Mr. Piece of Shit, racist, down under motherfucker. The one and only, ladies and gentlemen, Tim Ogie. Once again, I appreciate all y'all that joined in a live press conference of the Daunte Wright family and the so-called elected leader of the blacks, Ben Crump. Little boule mix in there for y'all. Sad situation that went down. It's even sadder that we got a clown that's representing it. But like I said, I can't take everything away from him. He went to school to be in the position that he's in to represent these people. My only problem is his intentions. And why is it when people like him go through that process of being schooled and able to be in a position to represent someone who has tragic issues, why do they always turn out the way that they do? Like Dogface Ben Crump. Or the Reverend Al Sharpton. Oh man, I seen Tim Ogie done ran about this joint. Can't hang on Tim. It's the resistance, man. You fucking with the resistance. We go hard. I'm gonna sign out in a little bit. About a minute and a half left before we make it a full hour of this stream. Just want y'all to make sure when y'all driving your cars, put your phone on your dashboard. And the second you see a police officer, hit record. It's a very serious issue we got going on these days in the country. You're liable to get killed anywhere at any red light by a police officer. Dash cams, man, they only about 40, 50, 60, 70 bucks. Ain't much. And then when you get that precious information, if you do receive some precious footage, do not hesitate to send it to the resistance. Because you know I don't give a fuck.
It's a very psychological thing that's happening here.